Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Jay Speak. This week we cover some questions. First question, do I see any issues with the 72 Thinline and where the pickup selector is located? No, I don't. I think I've probably had more issues with a couple weird limited SGs or the occasional Les Paul for whatever reason, the way it hung because of weight. It might have been distributed incorrectly for how it hangs on my shoulder, where I would hit a pickup selector here and there, but for the most part, I don't have any issues with Telecasters, I guess, in general, or the 72 Thinline. I mean, if you do have an issue where a pickup selector is located, maybe just try to play slightly differently, just in general, because of the way they hang or where the strap connects to the body. It can be a bit of a challenge sometimes learning. I think depending on where the strap is located on the guitar, you might have to modify your playing slightly just to get along with the guitar a little bit better. That is a general issue I could see. Kind of play with it a little bit and see how it goes. So this question was, they have a Supro guitar, and would a Jaguar or a Strat be a suitable upgrade? You know, as far as versatility goes, I would say the Supro is pretty good, but you definitely, the Strat to me is one of those guitars that can cover a lot of ground. But sometimes your investment is not necessarily the guitar, it's the amp itself. If you have a very basic setup where you play through a clean amp and you buy dirt pedals versus like a 2 or 3 channel, you know, tube head or something, or even a solid state, it doesn't really matter. But I guess the point is depending on how you set the amp up, it could dictate the dynamics of your playing, and it has nothing to do with the specific guitar as long as you got a couple pickups in it. Just having the ability to go through a neck and a bridge pickup is huge based on some of the wiring schemes you can come up with. There's a lot of things you can do. I think the Strat is probably one of the most versatile guitars. However, if you want like a big humbucker sound in the bridge, you're not going to get it unless you get an HSS, which are totally usable. But the Jaguar is a really cool alternative to that, and even the Jazzmaster too, but you have to like that initial sound. If you don't like the initial sound, using all those roller knobs and everything else isn't really going to get you there. So you need to, I would do a little bit of research, go play a few different guitars if you can, listen to demos, that kind of thing. But a Jaguar and Strat are good. Personally, I would want a humbucker in the bridge or a huge sounding amp that it won't matter, because you could play a Telecaster or Strat for metal or hard rock and it totally works too. Question 3. I mentioned before that I have swapped out different pickups and guitars because I bought the same model and then swapped out pickups. I had plans to do it with a faded Flying V. I had bought a brown one initially, a faded one, and this is years ago. And then I bought a red one, and the red one was so much lighter. It was not only too bright, but it was kind of lifeless, whereas the brown one was like one of the hugest sounding guitars I think I've ever played. Around the same time, Gibson was making the Vintage Mahogany series. And again, I bought a brown one, and it was great. And I love that guitar, and I stupidly sold it. But I bought a red one, and I put P94s in it. And where I liked it, it just didn't have the oomph. I don't know what it was, and it was just ironic to me that I bought 2 brown guitars, and those sounded way better than the red ones. And then throughout the years, I think I picked up a couple faded SGs, and I just couldn't bond with those at all. But those were primarily the 2 that I purchased 2 of and then swapped pickups. I know I had a couple Les Paul BFGs. I had a black one and a blue one, and I didn't change anything about them. I think, honestly, that's it. The guitars that I had that I swapped stuff out of because I really liked how the original sounded. Now, I could do a whole J-Speak on getting into models and buying like the same guitar, quote, model, but with different pickups, just because I wanted the variation. Maybe we'll cover that next week. But yeah, those are the few models. It was basically a faded V and a Vintage Mahogany, which became later on the faded Les Paul. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Many more videos to come. Don't miss one sub.